What's going on YouTube? This is Kel with Rollout PV. Just want to give a approximately 700 mile update in regards to owning my GTR. Things that have gone great, things that have gone tragically wrong. So first thing I want to mention is of course my step down controller that controls the front headlights, the side LED lights down here, if you can see them, your brake lights and horn. That failed, but I replaced that early on, made a video about that already. Second thing that I wouldn't say failed, but the self-healing tires is complete BS. This is like my third tire on the back and my second tire on the front. The front, naturally, when you're riding around, it does like little burnout since the wheel diameter is so small. It's spinning at like who knows how many RPMs, and it wears out. That was cool. But the rear, man, just the dumbest micro punctures would just completely make the tire trash. Even when I put the muck off tire sealant, those just, yeah, I went through 3 of those. Brake pads with 700 miles, I've changed the front twice and the rear once. I can't exactly tell you which, at what mileage or how many miles it had when I did do that, but with 700 miles I went through 2 sets of front pads and 1 set of rear pads. Also, the most notable epic fail I've been dealing with my GTR is my controller. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been through 3, I said it, 1, 2, 3 controllers. I did the whole thing with like taking the wire covering off to make sure there isn't like a short somewhere, checking the plugs that go into the back of the controller, you name it. This controller just fails on me. I mean, the first time it failed, I was riding all night in a group ride. I was on my way home, and literally maybe a block away from my house, the scooter just shut off. And I was thinking maybe the battery got hot, or just battery was low, whatever. But that wasn't the case, because I charged the battery up, plugged it back in, checked all my connections as far as the battery to the controller, XYZ. That was fine. And after maybe a month, this was my first time, after a month of just like, off and on trying to figure out what it was, I said, screw it. If it's not the battery and it's not the screen, I checked the screen. I have a buddy that has a GTR, tested out the screen was fine. The power button on the throttle module was fine. It was, the only thing left was the controller. So I changed the controller, everything turned right back on. So that was the first time. Second time my controller went, I was literally doing 5 miles an hour on like a local path around my house. It's called Cobb's Creek. I was doing about 5 miles an hour, and the scooter just seized. Like both my front and rear motors just stopped and threw me off the front. I got up, luckily I was fine. I had my gear on. There's some scuffs from when I fell, not the end of the world. That's literally those 3 spots, 1, 2, 3 was, really all where the damage was. But yeah, threw me off. The controller fried, seized both of my motors. Someone in the GTR, GT Pro chat, or no, the forum, said that my MOSFETs failed for both the front and rear motors in the controller, and probably caused my motors to seize. But that was like, I was borderline ready to sell this thing when that happened. Like, imagine if that had happened to me at, say, 50 plus miles an hour, bro. Like, your front and rear motors just seize on you. That could have been very bad. So, you know, the scooter sat for about a month and a half. I sent my first controller back. This is all AliExpress, by the way. I refuse to deal with Varo. They suck as well. Like, I rather deal with AliExpress. They all suck, but AliExpress, their return policy is much easier to deal with. So I bought the controller off of them. I sent it back, and this is now my third controller. I've been riding around today. Lovely city of Philadelphia. This is the Philadelphia Art Museum, the back of it. By the way, it's right there. It's like a little, we call this a sandbox in the PV community here in Philly. But yeah, I've been riding it today. It's been riding fine. So we'll see. But it's definitely, you know, it took away some confidence in regards to riding this thing. I still love it. It's still great. It's performance great. But the next thing, so the step down controller for the lights failed. The controller has failed twice, not 3 times, I'm sorry, twice. So I'm on my third. My rear shock, and again, I've ridden with other GTR riders here in Philadelphia, like side by side. We talk amongst each other about things we love and don't love. This rear shock is blown out. Like, all the oil has leaked out of it. I have not yet got around to changing it because, you know, it works for now, but I do want to upgrade that shock. I do not want to spend the money on another OEM Kaabo shock just to have it blow out, because I've talked with other guys. They've had it blown out, bought another one, blown out. It just blows out, and it blows out at the adjustment screw here. Like, that adjustment screw, it just leaks oil all around. Like, you'll screw it, it'll tighten. It won't even tighten, it'll just keep spinning. Like, there's no threads in it. I mean, from brand new, it did that. And I thought it was, you know, just whatever. Maybe it's a Kaabo thing, whatever. But evidently other guys deal with that too. So yeah, that rear shock is shit. Not only on mine, but other guys are dealing with that. What else? Oh, this is another issue on the Facebook forums and the GTR forums. And this is a GTR and GT Pro issue. The notchy steering. I'll show you about right here. This is not exactly dead center. Let me just try to get a good angle so you can see where I'm at. So right there, notch, 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 and notch, notch, notch. Like, it's just notchy. You can feel it. Like, it's smooth, 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 boop, smooth, smooth, boop. And you can feel that, you know, at higher speeds, you're fine because you're not really turning the wheel, you know, aggressively one way or the other. But when you're doing slow technical stuff, like let's say I just want to do like a figure 8 around these trees here, like when you're turning hard, it'll lock up on you and you're like, oh, whoa, like, you know. But that notchy steering, from what I've heard, it's the lack of oil that they put on bearings that, I think you can see it better. Well, you can't see the bearings, but there's evidently a bearing here that this swivels on, and here it's like two. It's either 2 or 1. Regardless, this has to come apart to get access to the bearings in there to properly grease them or replace them. But notchy steering. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it as far as my 700-mile review of my GTR. I love the scooter. The chassis itself is great, but I would love to possibly change this controller. I do not trust this 2-in-1 controller. I just don't trust it. You know, I would love to change the controller and change that rear shock. Those are major changes I would do in regards to the scooter. The battery life, for what it is, I would love a bigger battery, but the 35, what realistically 33.9, whatever it is, it's fine. You know, if you're like flying around here doing 65, and yeah, you'll run through the shit. But I've kind of, you know, with my lack of trust in the controller has enabled me to just ride more in like mode 2, mode 3. You know, mode 2, I try my best to stay in mode 2. You know, you get pretty good range out of it in mode 2. But the second you start going into 4 and 5, yeah, you'll run through your battery. But yeah, the notchy damn steering. And another thing people complain about on the forums is the squeaking sound that you'll get from your rear suspension. I've learned that it comes from, no, it actually comes from the rod in the shock that squeaks. If you just throw some lithium grease, like, you know, WD-40 has a lithium grease version with the, you know, the little tube, so you can like really shoot it. You throw some of that in there, it'll be completely silent. Yeah, great scooter, but not for the faint of heart if you're not mechanically inclined or batshit crazy. One of those, I don't know. But that's all. That's really it. My Wolf King, W King speaker's fine. This light is still working good, even though it, you know, got bashed when I got thrown off. I still keep this disconnected. If you know, you know.